Hi everybody. In today's class we are going to discuss transportation system in human beings. Okay, our heading is what? Transportation system in human beings. Transportation system, okay, in human beings. In human beings. Okay, so when we are talking about transportation system in human beings, we need to know what is the medium that transports the substances from the region where it is synthesized or where it is produced and to all parts of the body. So what is that medium? It is blood, right? Blood. Okay, blood transport substances, okay, to various parts of our body. So blood transports what? Oxygen. It transports oxygen. It also transports food. It transports food, and it also transports the waste material produced by the body cells. Okay, it also transports waste materials produced by the body cells. Okay, so in transportation system, blood plays a vital role. And we know that blood also contains plasma, a fluid substance known as plasma. Blood contains the fluid substance known as plasma, and it is fluid substance. On this plasma there will be many cells that are suspended. For example, RBC, okay, red blood corpuscles, they carry what? Oxygen, okay, and we also know that WBCs, okay, RBCs, WBCs, and platelets, okay, platelets. These are the cells that are present in the plasma, or they remain suspended in the plasma. So now you know the constituents of blood, right? It is blood contains plasma, the fluid substance, and it contains the cells like RBC, WBC, and platelets. Okay. Now, if there is for this transportation system, there should be one organ which pumps the blood, and this blood will circulate throughout our body. Okay, in such cases, what happens? There will be rupture in the tubes, blood tubes, or network of tubes that are connected. So, if there is rupture, in blood vessels, or if there is rupture in blood capillaries, which will recover. Okay, there is a system which recovers the rupture. So, what is that system? There may be platelets, okay, for recovering the vessels from rupture. Okay, so as I told you, there should be one organ which needs to pump the blood to different parts of our body. So here is the heart. Heart is the organ which pumps the blood to different parts of our body. So this is the heart. Okay, it is a typical human heart. For example, it is a typical human heart. So before we deal about details, we need to label the parts, right? Then it will become what? Very easy for us to understand. So this part, this whole total will become the left part of the heart, and this whole total will become the right part of the heart. So heart is divided into two parts, left and right. And which will divide the heart into two parts? It is the dividing wall known as septum. So first we need to label septum. Septum is also known as dividing wall. Septum is known as dividing wall. So it divides the heart into left part and right part. Okay, and there are 4 chambers. We know that heart consists of 4 chambers. So what are those 4 chambers? Okay, this is one chamber, this is another chamber, this is another chamber, this is another chamber. So there are 4 chambers. Okay, so this chamber, since it is present towards the left side, we call them as left atrium. Left atrium. This will become the left atrium, and the down one, okay, since it is present again towards the left, it is known as left ventricles. Left ventricles. Okay. If we are talking about one chamber, okay, left atrium, it is atrium. Atrium means singular. So this will become, okay, left atrium. Atrium is singular. So what is the plural form of atrium? It is atria. Atria is the plural form. So this will become left atrium, and this will become left ventricle. Okay, it will become left ventricle. And towards our right side, okay, towards our right side, there will be again right ventricle. Okay, right atrium, and towards our right hand side, and the lower one is known as right ventricle. Okay, so we have leveled the 4 chambers of heart, right? Okay, first one is left atrium, and the second one, that is left ventricle, and towards our right, okay, right atrium and right ventricle. So these are the 4 chambers, and this heart is divided into 2 parts, okay, left and right, by the help of the dividing wall known as septum. Okay, now we need to understand how the blood flows, okay, how the blood flow takes place in the heart. So, okay, imagine that there is lung present towards the left side, okay, lungs present towards the left side. Now lungs, they always contain what? They always contain oxygen as well as carbon dioxide gases. Oxygen and carbon dioxide gases. So oxygen, the blood containing oxygen, or the blood rich in oxygen, is going to be taken up by pulmonary vein. So this will become what? Pulmonary vein. Okay, since there are 2 veins I have drawn here, that's why it is pulmonary veins. And remember that all the veins, they carry deoxygenated blood, but here there is one exception, which is that pulmonary veins, they carry oxygenated blood. Okay, oxygenated blood is carried by pulmonary vein. This pulmonary vein, they pick up oxygenated blood, and now this blood is going to be present now in the left atrium. Okay, so this left atrium, when it is collecting the oxygenated blood, at that moment this left atrium is in relaxed condition. Okay, so relaxed condition, that means left atrium, when it relaxes, oxygenated blood comes and it is collected in this left atrium when it is relaxed. So next, the oxygenated blood, okay, now from this left atrium, it falls into the left ventricle. Okay, now from the left ventricle, okay, when it will fall, or when it will come, when the blood comes to the left ventricle, when this is in relaxed condition. Okay, left ventricle, when it relaxes, blood from this left atrium comes and gets collected here. Okay, at that time this will contract. After contraction of left atrium, blood is going to flow into left ventricle. From here, the blood is going to go up towards the aorta. Now this will be our aorta. Okay, aorta, large size artery. It is also known as large size artery. So, okay, when it will go towards the aorta, when there is contraction of this left ventricle, at that time the blood flows towards the aorta. Okay, from aorta the blood is going to reach to all the cells of our body, all the cells or all the tissues of our body. So which is responsible for carrying the oxygenated blood towards the tissues? That is aorta. Okay, now all the oxygenated blood gets used up in the tissues or used up in the cells for their various metabolic activities. So cells, they use oxygen and cells will produce what? Carbon dioxide. Okay, when the oxygen rich blood reaches to the tissues, so tissues or cells, they use up the oxygen for their various metabolic activity. Now that blood can be also termed as oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin, that means blood carrying oxygen. Okay, hemoglobin is a red pigment, right, that is found in the blood. So it is carrying what? Oxygen. So we can term it as oxyhemoglobin. So oxyhemoglobin is going to reach to all the tissues. Now tissues will use up the oxygen and they produce what? Carbon dioxide. Again, this carbon dioxide is going to be picked up by the same blood, and it is brought to the right atrium. It is brought to the right atrium. There are two veins here. There are two veins or two vena cava. Okay, large size veins. They are vena cava. So this will be the upper vena cava and this will be the lower vena cava. Okay. So upper vena cava, this will be the upper vena cava and this will be the lower vena cava. Okay, lower vena cava. So the blood which is carrying carbon dioxide along with it is going to bring the blood, okay, by these two vena cava, upper vena cava, okay, or it is also known as superior vena cava, and lower vena cava is also known as inferior vena cava. So from upper vena cava it is going to fall into this right ventricle, and from lower vena cava it is going to fall into this right ventricle. Now, okay, this part it was carrying what? Oxygenated blood, and this part it is going to carry what? Deoxygenated blood. Now this deoxygenated blood comes into the right ventricle. Okay, right ventricle. When it comes, when there is relaxation. Okay, when this chamber or the ventricle, right ventricle is in relaxed condition, blood is going to come here. What kind of blood? That is blood rich in carbon dioxide. Now this chamber, when it contracts, the blood, okay, the blood flows into the right ventricle. Now from this right ventricle, when it contracts, the blood goes, or the blood flows towards the pulmonary artery, So these are pulmonary arteries. Okay, pulmonary arteries. So this pulmonary, the word, okay, generally means that it is relating to the lungs. pulmonary relates to the lungs. Here pulmonary arteries relating to the lungs, pulmonary veins also relating to the lungs. So this pulmonary arteries, again they are going to send the deoxygenated blood or blood rich in carbon dioxide into the lungs. Okay, so this is the direction how the deoxygenated blood flows. Okay, see here, now right hand side of our heart contains deoxygenated blood and left hand side of our heart it contains oxygenated blood. Okay, there is no mixing of oxygenated blood along with deoxygenated blood. So from here the blood goes to the lungs. Okay, because carbon dioxide is not needed for our body and it has to be removed from the lungs, okay, through our nostril or the nasal passage. So this is how the flow of blood takes place in the heart. Okay, so here the deoxygenated blood goes to the lungs. Why? For oxygenation. Carbon dioxide gets removed out and oxygen in the blood is combined. Okay, in blood oxygen gets attached. Okay, that's why we call it as in oxyhemoglobin. Okay, oxyhemoglobin. Again, the blood from this chamber it comes to this chamber and from here it goes to the aorta and it is supplied to all our body parts. Okay, and here one more thing you should remember, that here you can find valve. Okay, there are different names. As we will discuss about NIT foundation, then there I will explain every details about this. So there is valves. Okay, here there is one valve, here there is another valve. Okay, here there is another valve and here there is another valve. So there are 4 valves. Okay, what is the function of valve here? So valves are like this. Okay, when blood flows, okay, when blood comes down it will close. Okay, when this atrium, left atrium is going to contract, the blood flows down. At that time what happens? These valves are going to close. They will check that the blood again should not go to the same direction, should not flow to the same direction upwards. That's why they check the flow of blood. I mean they check backflow of blood. Okay, so that is the function of valves that are present here. Okay, they check the backflow of blood. Okay, backflow of blood, backflow of blood. Now, okay, and here again one more thing we need to understand is, if you observe keenly, okay, if you observe keenly, this heart is having 2 parts. For example, upper part we can take it as base, okay, and lower part we can take it as apex. Upper part base, lower part apex. So upper part, that is base, is little broader. Okay, lower part apex, that is narrower, and this lower part is tilted towards the left hand side, So it is present at the center of our thoracic cavity and lower end is towards the left hand side. Okay, tilted towards the left hand side. So that is the position of heart where it is situated, right? Now if you observe, you will find the ventricles, they have thick wall. And compared to the ventricle that is present towards the left is having more thicker, okay, than the right ventricle. Okay, why? Because this ventricle has to pump the blood. Okay, it has to pump the blood. When it pumps the blood okay, flows with a pressure and reaches from top to bottom. Okay, in top what is there? Head is there. In bottom what is there? Toes are there, right? From toes to head. So that much pressure it needs. That's why this heart is having thicker wall. Okay, so it is having thick wall. Why the ventricles are having thick wall? If question comes, your answer should be because they have to pump the blood. Okay, pump the blood to different organs of our body. And here also having thick walls, but when it contracts, the blood goes to the lungs. Blood goes to the lungs. Okay, it is not more distance compared to the blood that is flowing through the aorta and reaches from top to bottom. Okay, so this was about today's class. Okay, in next class we will be discussing many details about this. So as I told, we will discuss details about this organ known as heart and the various veins, arteries that are connected, and the schematic diagram how the blood flows and how the blood goes to the lungs. Okay, and here please don't forget, all veins carry deoxygenated blood. All veins carry deoxygenated blood except the pulmonary vein. Here the pulmonary vein is carrying what? Oxygenated blood. It brings from lungs, right? Okay, so oxygenated blood is carried by pulmonary veins. And if we talk about the arteries, all arteries they carry oxygenated blood except the pulmonary artery. Here it is carrying what? The deoxygenated blood or blood rich in carbon dioxide. Okay children, I hope you understood. Thank you. Have a nice day.